I started researching bonfire traditions, I just grew out of the idea that my mom had us for Thanksgiving dinner. And of course they would never come over here for that because that's over there. So I thought, well, I'll celebrate Guy Fawkes a couple of weeks earlier, cook a turkey in the ground, and then they would come a couple of weeks earlier. My brother still turns up. I met these people online who were from Lewis in Sussex and Hastings in Sussex, England, and they started to share information. First it was, how do I make a proper torch? And we make torches. Our torches came right off the internet. Word of mouth. It's one of two designs. The other involves melted tar, and I'm not going to do that. And then it got to be, well, what kind of a crest do you have? Well, there's our crest over there. Every bonfire society in England has one of these arms, as the English are known to do. And that shows Henry Garnett's straw. His blood at his execution spattered, hit a piece of corn. In England, corn is wheat. And so it hit at that little grain. And there was his likeness. So the Catholic folks decided they'd venerate it until it was lost later on in the French Revolution. So I made my own, and I said, well, we're going to set that venerated object on fire. And we're going to show the dates of the gunpowder plot, the Glorious Revolution. Of course, King Billy arrived to save democracy on November 5th. And then the American Revolution, which definitely had its origin in Stamp Act protests, which were derived from bonfire societies in Boston and New York.
Sons of Liberty.
So, Sons of Liberty. All of the rituals that the Sons of Liberty did, all the way up for the protests in Annapolis, recorded in the Maryland Gazette, were all bonfire traditions, because the groups existed already. So I said, how are we going to protest? Well, go to these guys. They do that all the time. So anyway, we exchanged views and ideas and things, and it got to the point where, not that we only have torches, but we have a procession. We have the right kind of guys. We've got everything together. And a couple of years ago, 2 years to be precise, or maybe 5 years, about 5 years ago, I did my research and I found that they rang the bells in England every 4th of November at midnight when it turned over to the 5th. I said, you guys haven't mentioned anything about ringing bells. And yet there is a history going back 400 years. And a guy has analyzed how much the bell ringers were paid to show how important the holiday was. And why don't you do that? Well, they said, oh, we would rather sleep in that night because we want to go to the bonfire. Or people don't want to be disturbed. All these nice English quaint things. And then year after year I'd say, you aren't ringing the bells. What the hell's wrong with you? Because it's this long tradition. I thought you were about tradition. Well, last year in Battle on the Sussex coast, they finally gave in. I got this email that said, Conrad, you'd be delighted to know that for the first time in about 200 to 300 years, on your direction, we are ringing the bells.
Hooray! Yes!
So this year I get an email from Hastings. Hastings is where William the Conqueror beat Harold, and on the battlefield right there on the coast in Sussex. And they said, Conrad, you'll be delighted to know, following Battle's lead, we are ringing the bells in not one church, but every church on the route. Who says that tradition doesn't eventually require American input? There you go. Right. For years now, we have exchanged wood with Hastings Borough Bonfire. Their bonfire was a couple weeks ago. This wood that I'm holding in my hand comes right from Hastings through the mail. We sent them this year a big piece of American oak because, you know, they must think I'm Texas or something, because their wood fits in the palm of my hand and my wood is about 2 feet. That was recorded by the Hastings newspaper. Big wood. In addition to that, I sent them a piece of the flagpole from Fort McHenry, which was being newly installed. And I said, hey, here, you have now captured a part of Fort McHenry. And they said, burn that? We're not going to burn that. We're going to worship it. It's now attached to a flagpole that they take to the American ground. Every year they go through a part of Hastings that seceded from Britain over taxation in the 19th century. They fly the American flag daily, and every year they do a town crier competition, and you always hold up my wood. Huzzah! Yeah. And so this year they're going to have this year they affixed it to their flagpole,
secret list,
and it goes there every year. So anyway, all I can say to them is round trip airplane ticket to the UK. Please. That's right. Please.
It's a long flight.
But no, it's about more than that. So symbolically, I'm tossing the Hastings Borough bonfire wood, complete with its customs declaration, onto the fire. So there you go. Now you know what we do here. Yeah. Intense trivia.